Yes, welcome, comrade brother Tauya Chinama. Do you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, you are audible.
Very good. I can see you clearly. I can hear you loud and clear. Welcome once again to our show today.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm audible enough? Am I audible?
Yes. Yes, you are audible. You are audible, though the voice is slow on reaching me, but you are audible enough. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm getting you loud and clearly.
Very good. Thank you so much. Our guest today, Comrade Tauya Chinama from Zimbabwe. We are going to be doing the show with my co-host Lynda Tilley, who is joining us in a moment. Welcome once again on the show. Hopefully everything is going on right with you. How are you?
I'm fine. Nowadays to say I'm fine sometimes it's like a proverb.
I understand.
So a person can say I'm fine while the person is not fine. It's just a
because it's not just a greeting. In our African way, we are used to saying I'm fine because it's a greeting, and sometimes you are not fine. But I hope you are in good health.
Of course, I'm in good health, of course, yeah.
Welcome on board. My name is Kato Mukasa. I am a Ugandan humanist interested in human rights, and I'm a co-host on this show called Active in Africa. Today we have our guest from Zimbabwe, Tauya Chinama, who is going to be taking us through his works. We are doing profiling of great individuals in Africa doing a lot of work to impact on our communities. So we are going to be talking about the works of a human rights defender in Zimbabwe, and that is Tauya Chinama, a one-on-one talk show with him. And my co-host Lynda is here. Lynda, welcome, my sister.
Hello, how are you? Welcome back again. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I'm happy seeing you on set.
Good to see you, yes, in Zimbabwe there, and good to see you, Kato.
Yes, I was missing that voice of yours and your face and your ideas and everything.
Oh, I'm one of the few people that misses my voice. Normally people get sick and tired of it.
Yeah, it's good seeing you, Lynda. Lynda is one of the person that makes me, you keeps me going. You make me proud to be African. When I say African, working so hard.
You do the same for me.
Yes, I am so happy to work with you, Lynda, and I'm happy to have Chinama Tauya with us today. Lynda, as you can see, our guest is inside the studio. We are starting off with him. We want to know a bit about Tauya more again because we're profiling human rights defenders in Africa. Tauya, in a word, please, may you introduce yourself to the audience?
Unfortunately, you are breaking. Can you say the last two sentences you said? I don't know more. Maybe it's network on my side or something else.
Okay, I'll repeat it. I'm saying that I'm happy to have you with my co-host Lynda, and I'm saying would like to know a little about you. May you please introduce yourself to the viewers?
All right. Let me try to be as short as possible. We always have a lot to say. Tauya Chinama is a youth advocate, a human rights activist, free thinker, humanist, or if you would want to say maybe apatheist, because normally down here in Zimbabwe, I don't prefer using the word atheist. Why? Because it is related with a lot of negativity. To some it is synonymous to evil, but they don't know that atheists are they are somehow humanists. As humanists, we care about the relations of the people. We care about the needs of the people without resorting to the supernatural. So it is,
Exactly.
we have a lot to do, because people here in Africa, they don't understand it. And the people who cannot imagine someone who lives a good life without believing in a deity, without believing in supernatural beings. So I would
True.
like to say I am an apatheist. For those who never heard about what is apatheism. Apatheists normally are the people who says whether God exists or not is not an important question, but welfare of human beings is an important question. So we don't care whether there is something or there is not something, but we care that the welfare and the well-being of our fellow human beings should be catered for. Those who are religious included. I am not Christian, but I would defend a Christian to practice his or her right. I am not Muslim. I'll defend a Muslim. I am not Buddhist. I will defend it. As long the person is practicing his or her religion without harming others, that's fine. But it becomes a problem when that religious practice becomes harmful to others. So I think that is what I can say at the moment. I think I will say a lot when you will be asking questions as the show proceeds.
Thank you very much, Tauya Chinama, for explaining that. Today, I want to tell our viewers that I'm having two Zimbabweans.
Woo! I should have got this Zimbabwean thing. Yes, of course.
Yeah, because Lynda is born and bred in Zimbabwe. That
I'm
white
Harari,
African.
yes.
I'm always proud of. Lynda is a Zimbabwean white African. I'm a Ugandan black African, just like you, Chinama Tauya. So I'm happy to see you, the two Zimbabweans. We are going to be talking about your works. And of course, because Lynda is a Zimbabwean, we'll also be chipping in to share with us all about the works in Zimbabwe and what we know about Zimbabwe, and especially appreciating your work and finding ways how to move forward. Because at the end of the day, we shall be sharing your works with the rest of the world so that they can be able to know you and know what you do. We are profiling human rights defenders in Africa and more so humanists. So, taking us back to you, Tauya Chinama, how do you become humanist? How do you become atheist? What was your story?
All right. Yeah. The way my journey towards being non-religious started, it's so interesting. At some point in my life, I was training to be a Catholic priest with the Divine Word missionaries. So one of my formators, the one who was in charge of us, was teaching us. He was insisting on responsibility. So he was telling people that people should learn to be responsible. They should stop that system of blaming, saying the devil made me to do this, Satan made me to do this. And I suspect that that prefect of mine didn't believe in the existence of a devil. So what started for me, before doubting the existence of a deity, I doubted the existence of the devil in favor of trying to push people to be responsible. Because whenever you make a mistake, people should own up to say, all right, I made a mistake. I am sorry if it is necessary. So, when you deny the existence of a devil, belief in a devil and belief in a deity is a package. So once one of those things collapses, surely the other side will collapse. So that is how it started. That was in my first year when I was training to be a priest. Then when I was sent to study philosophy in Zambia, philosophy teaches you to question a lot. So I started to question a lot of doctrines. You find those things of Epicurus telling us, God is all powerful, but there is evil. He can stop evil, but he can't. All those questions came to my mind. So I started to question a lot. I started to say, it's better. I can prefer to be called an agnostic. But starting in 2015, then I realized that a lot of things which I believe, which is no proof, were somehow not true in the sense of both. You can't prove them scientifically. So from 2015, I told myself, all the knowledge I'm going to get now, I should start to make my own knowledge.
Yes.
The knowledge which was passed to me by anyone else, I should put it to test. If it stands that test, then I keep it. If it fails, I discard it. That is how I became non-religious. Then while I was studying philosophy, we had the chance of learning modules like natural theology, where we would watch videos of people like Richard Dawkins, probably having a discussion with a certain religious person like, I remember, is this John Lennox? And you would see that, Richard Dawkins is actually making sense, and the other religious fellow is actually basing on beliefs. And the funny part about beliefs can be true or false, which means we can't be so sure that a belief is true. Though, again, as people who champion science, we are not denying whatever they're saying, say a deity exists, but we are saying, can you prove it to us? Because a hypothesis should be either, it should be falsifiable, which means it should be provable. So if it is not, if something is said to be beyond us, so why should we believe it? Because I can also tell the person that in my room now, I have a donkey with 5 legs, but I would deny, I would say I can't prove it. So how do you know that I'm saying the truth? If I say I have a donkey with 5 legs in my room, I have to allow you access into my room and show you the donkey with 5 legs. Then, so we don't need to be believing in those things. If they can't pass the scientific tests, we should just let them go. Yes, there are some questions which we cannot answer today. You know, there are some things which we cannot explain today, but it doesn't give us the chance to assume certain things. This generation might not answer a certain question, but 200 years later, some people might answer it. For example, we have people who say, I have been healed miraculously. It's not miraculously, but it is only that we can't explain it. And probably one of the days it will be explained. I remember one of the greatest humanists, is it Stephen Hawking, that mathematician? I am told when he was 21, he was diagnosed and he was found he had a brain tumor. So the doctors told him, is it?
It is him, yes, it's Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, so he was told, I think he was told that you only have 2 years to live. But he later on, that was those were the doctors who said, but he later on lived up to beyond 60. And if Hawkins was going to be a religious person, we were going to be getting tired of hearing the testimony that I was saved, I was saved, I was saved, I was saved. But luckily, he's non-religious and he was so clear about it. You see what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think, in short, that is what I can say about my journey of becoming a humanist. It started where I was training to be a priest and goes on to deny the existence of a devil, goes on to doubt the existence of a deity. Now I call myself an apatheist. I don't care whether a deity exists or not, but I care that human beings should be respected. Their needs should be respected. We should treat each other with dignity. We should be responsible of our choices.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yes. That is so true.
That's a good.
And
I think that's a very good. That's a very good.
It is really,
It's a very
and I
good
think
summary.
all of us went through that. Sorry, from being Christian and then being agnostic, where you don't believe in God, but you know you think there's something else out there, and then you slowly drift over to realizing when you find out about science and that there's a name for this called atheism. But we also don't, I don't know, most of people around Africa, we would rather go under humanist than atheist, because atheist conjures up pictures of devil worshipping, baby sacrificing. You know, they think that we worship the devil. They don't understand people that we don't believe in the devil either. But I also think that this humanism thing that we all have, it's something that African people have got, that are born with it. It's honestly, and I've traveled and lived in lots of African countries with and met different tribes and people from different walks of life. 90% of African people are humanists, but a lot of them have been indoctrinated into religion. So they would be, I always say to people, the only thing that separates you and I is that you're a humanist and I'm a humanist, but you believe in a God and I don't. I don't rely on a God to say I'm a good person. A lot of Christian and Muslim and Hindu people, they are lovely, good people, and they do good work their entire lives. And I always say, you think you're doing good work because of your God, but you are a good person. I never changed, and I don't know what it was like for you as well. I'm the same person I was when I was a Christian. I still do all good work and help people, but I'm actually a better person because I have left the chains of an organized religion, and I am just living, connecting with things that resonate with me. I'm using myself as a guide for what's right and wrong rather than relying on what I'm taught in a book. And it gives you an incredible sense of freedom. And I also think that we can't really label ourselves under anything. Like you said, you don't say humanists and you use a different name. We are unique. Life started in Africa. So humanism started here because the black race was the most evolved, most civilized race at the time. So you can't tell me that humanism started overseas. I know it started in Africa, and I see it in so many people across Africa. And I also say that why should we always take the names of the West? We must come up with our own unique name for what we are as African people, because every person has that. It's a genuine caring for each other. It's going through terrible circumstances, and you always, even if you've got nothing, you help someone else. And honestly, if you look at it, the majority of Africans are like that. It's the minority that give Africa a bad image. And unfortunately, most of them are in positions of power and authority. But the everyday African person, I'm sure you can agree with me, are just lovely people. You could walk anywhere across Africa tonight, and in a remote place, somebody, if you saw a home, they would invite you in, and that you would be safe and comfortable. I don't think you could do that overseas as easily. You'd be worried about crime and that. It's just, I think that humanism had to have started in Africa, and I have seen it over the years in all different tribes. There is one common thing that connects them, and it's something very unique that African people have that other people, they don't have it. And I think it's something to do with being born on such a beautiful continent and just being so connected to nature and to everything around us and to each other. And I think it's something that it's lovely because it's African humanists that I hear that are struggling with the names that have been labeled, that we labeled with. We all have that. It's like, yes, I am that. When you look at the 10 rules or the 10 guidelines for humanism, yes, every single one of those resonates with me, but it's so much more than that. You can't describe humanism, actually. You can't give it a category to put into the kind of humanists that we are as Africans. It can't be defined by 10 things or guidelines, I don't think. For me personally, I just think that it's something that we shouldn't label, but it's amazing because everybody has that. And it's so incredible how so many people have always doubted, and a lot of people, like you say, when you start studying, it's also, I think, when you're out of your home environment with your parents and your school and everything, and you are now sort of free to be an adult and to go, you study and you meet people from different walks of life with different beliefs, and you start learning. A lot of men, I find, is that when they're studying university days, especially when they get into science and that they start questioning it. And I just think it's wonderful, because I don't know what it's like in Zimbabwe now, because I know it's so religious and there's all these Pentecostal cult-like churches, but I really think around the rest of Africa, so many people are coming forward who've left religion behind. Kato, I know you found that as well. It's just in the last 3 years, it seems to have exploded, and we're all connecting on social media now. And places like your most Islamic states in Nigeria, in West Africa, there are thousands upon thousands of atheists and people leading double lives. And I think the more that people see what's actually going on in the world and how awful things are getting here, in Africa, and no God has ever helped or done anything significant. It's people helping people. That is also causing a lot of people to question what they've been brought up to believe. And a lot of people are seeing the relation that politics and religion plays, and how, you know, from school and in our homes, we're indoctrinated into religion, which all ties into the whole political thing. So it's a fascinating topic. And I think as Africans, this humanism thing that we call it now, it is like that, but it's something totally unique to us. And I just think that's wonderful, because, you know, this is the original continent where all life started. So it would make sense that we would be the continent that would have the key and the methods and the ways of knowing how to save our continent and our world, you know, with our environment and our animals, and how to get all the evil out eventually, and to get decent, kind people, humanists, running countries and doing things. And I just honestly think that Africa has to be the key. This is where it all started. So there's something that we need to tap into there. And people are unfortunately getting this very mixed up now with, I see a lot of people leaving religion and they're gearing towards superstition, money rituals, witchcraft. Because Black African ancestral history and culture has been taken and destroyed. And so many people are confused, and I see so many people turning to witchcraft and supernatural rituals and sangomas and thinking that it's it. And it's not. There's so many con artists out there. And I know this is something you're dealing with in Zimbabwe as well, with the supernatural thing, that people think that this is it, they're missing, because they know that religion doesn't sort of fit with them. So it's interesting. That is quite on the increase. It always has been in Zimbabwe, the witchcraft and the money rituals and everything. But I think it's also it's expanded quite a lot over the last few years.
Yeah, Linda, speaking of which, we have Tauya here. Of course, you and Tauya from Zimbabwe. I want Tauya to take us through how did you end up in training to become a priest, and why did you leave the priesthood at Tauya Chinama?
Well, it's very interesting. You know, when I was growing up, I didn't have much contact with priests. They would become here and there. And I have that age. You know, when I was looking at Christianity, I would see a number of churches different. But myself, I thought maybe these churches should be united. So that was how I became interested. So I was thinking, for me to push this agenda of these churches to be together, I think I have to be a priest first. But not later, I realized that the differences between these churches cannot be solved. And as I was learning, I realized also that the doctrine, which is actually key to religion, the belief in a deity, seems to be false. Especially as I told you, I started to doubt it by doubting the existence of a devil, from a devil then to a deity. And also I managed to see the other face of the people who are priests. I'm not saying all priests are bad, but there are certain priests who are very, very cruel than they look. So you would look at that person, listen to what he's preaching, and look at what he's doing. Then it doesn't match. You say, so should I continue doing what I'm doing so that I become like this person, a hypocrite? No. So when some people ask me, why did you left priesthood formation? Sometimes I joke saying I was too honest to be a priest. Because at some point you just have to lie.
You didn't want so much money. You didn't want to steal money from people.
So I was too honest to be a priest. So, but sometimes I actually realized that you be found yourself in a situation where you had to lie to the people. And I think when I will be talking about soda later on, I'm going to mention about what is actually happening here in Zimbabwe about the gold mafia. You can see the main person in that issue, in that gold mafia thing, is a pastor. You see. He uses religion to hide, stealing the gold of the country, selling the gold of the country, enjoying the wealth of the country. You see, and people be saying, this is our pastor, this is a good person. It's people, they hide behind religion. They use religion to do horrible things. The funny part is this: people who are not officials in different religions, they're honestly lost sometimes, maybe what they're honestly cheated. But those who are in authority, those who are like pastors and priests, some of them are actually humanists, but they've seen that it is beneficial to them to remain as pastors and priests because they want to commercialize religion so that they can get a living out of it.
Absolutely.
You see, so that's looking at all those things, at some point I was feeling I'm too honest to be a priest. I don't know if it makes sense.
It does make sense. I remember once doing a Sunday school where I had to read a story for the children, and it was probably about it was just a normal Bible story. It wasn't one of the crazier ones like what's talking. And I actually felt quite bad because at that age, and this was in Zimbabwe, at that age, maybe I was 9 or 10 years old. And I had a younger sister, so I'm not the big sister, you see, and I've got to be responsible and everything and set an example for the younger children. And I was given this book to read to the class in Sunday school. And I still remember feeling almost like an imposter, like I'm telling the kids something that I don't really believe. Like, do they really believe this crazy story? And like they were all like listening to it. And I do remember then, as a young child, feeling bad because I knew it was wrong to lie and I didn't like lying. Like, what if these kids ask me questions? I can't answer like about a talking donkey or whatever it was. But it is that instinctual thing that you just have inside you that tells you you can't deceive people. And there are lots of pastors who I don't even think are aware that they're deceiving people. You get the smaller, poorer churches and the people that have dedicated their life to God. They don't wake up and deliberately decide to deceive people and steal money. I don't believe that they're all like that, but there are a lot, and there are more now of these Pentecostal ones, and these mega churches where they've got bands and live music and snacks and a souvenir shop, and you can have your photo taken afterwards, and they treat the pastors like celebrities, and it's an escape for people from their daily life of poverty. I don't know if this is happening with your big Pentecostal churches in Zimbabwe as well. They just take the day off for lots of young or young adults. They're honest about church is a great place to hook up with people where you meet a single people, and it's an outing, and you get an escape from your life of poverty and hunger in this beautiful church. It's like a 5-star hotel with the chandeliers and all the special heating and cooling and lighting, and this is what's hooking people in. And I see that's also starting in Zimbabwe now as well, where you're getting these massive they're businesses really. It's like a franchise, isn't it? But it's sort of marketed as a church.
Yes, Linda, and Tauya has made, I was too honest to be a priest. I should share with you.
I love it.
Something to do with that, because when I was growing up, I grew up in a Catholic family. My mother is a staunch Catholic up to now. My mother wanted me to be a priest. From doing what my mother wanted, I never became a priest. I became rebellious. I refused to go to church when I was 12. I refused to go to finish the confirmation training, which was a basic to be a good Catholic. So I share with you, Tauya. You were patient enough to join the priesthood. Me, I was honest enough to avoid even going there. So having said that, it's interesting how you have finally abandoned the journey into becoming a priest. When you abandoned this journey, Tauya, what did you do? Now you're no longer a path that you chose, alternative to priesthoods.
The last sentence you are breaking. I don't know if I'm audible.
No, you are audible. I was just breaking.
Okay, the network may be bad. I'm going to repeat that. I'm asking when you abandoned the journey to priesthood, what path did you choose alternative to that?
All right. When I abandoned immediately
What did
after
you decide
I
to
left,
do after?
but immediately after abandoning, I had two options, of which I am still pursuing those two options. One, to do deeper researches on religion and human rights. And I've been doing that. I have a lot of interest around researching on religion and human rights. I think it's common to all humanists who were once training to be a priest. And if you look at the writings of Dr. Leo Igwe of Nigeria, we also took halfway into priesthood formation, and he has a lot of interest into these religious issues. And also, I'm also civil and political activist. And in 2018, when I left priesthood formation in 2018, I was on the ballot paper with one of the opposition political parties here. And both I wanted people of my age, especially young people, to be included in decision-making boards, because the funny part about our constitution here in Zimbabwe, for one to be presidential candidate or senatorial candidate, one should be at least be at the age of 40. This is the minimum age limit, but there is no maximum age limit. The fact that we have minimum age limit is a necessary and sufficient condition for us to have the maximum. If we can't have the maximum, why should we have the minimum? So a person can reach 150 years in Zimbabwe and he can still rule. But we know that a person, when he goes to 90 and beyond, mentally, the person is no longer fit to preside over a nation. So, and I have been doing a lot around those things. And recently, last month, but in February, on 21 February in Zimbabwe, is National Youth Day. And I wrote a petition to Zimbabwe Electoral Commission here in Zimbabwe, complaining about all those things. They acknowledged the receipt. They gave me a preliminary answer, and they promised to give me a comprehensive answer. And I hope it's not about only buying time, because they say they want to consult certain policies and laws, which I have quoted into the petition. So I have been doing that, and I'm promoting young people to be in the decision-making boards, because it doesn't make sense to have only old people. You know, old people, the problem of old people, majority of them, not all of them, are not open-minded. They respond to new things with fear and intimidation. They are not innovative, and they don't care about the future, what I can call generational justice. Imagine if you have a person who is beyond 70. Do you think that person is caring about what will happen to the country the next 30 years? No. But there is Tauya who is 31. I care about what is going to happen in the next 40 years, because I'm sure I might live up to 80. So there is still 50 more years where I'm still. So I care that, and also as a humanist, as a human rights activist, I care also about the future generation, that what I'm enjoying now, they should also enjoy it in the future. If possible, they should enjoy it better than what I'm doing now. So that is what inspires me to push. I might not win the battle, but those who take after me, they'll win it. They will be having a foundation where to start. They will say there was Tauya, he did this up to this. So, and I have been also trying to push philosophy to be taught in secondary schools here in Zimbabwe, because philosophy is the one which actually liberated my mind. So, and in preparation of that, I didn't have a teaching qualification. In 2021, I enrolled for teaching qualification, and I graduated yesterday with a postgraduate diploma in education. That was the plan.
Congratulations.
I want to, thank you very much. I want to go to the curriculum unit development. When they say you want it to be taught in schools, are you a teacher? I produce, yes, I'm a qualified teacher. I can teach. So, because it helps people. For example, we talked of atheists being accused of being Satanists. You know, it is because of the lack of knowledge. Those people, they don't know that Satanism is a religion. They don't know that Satanism is a religion. So it's on their side, those who are religious. You can't
Exactly.
accuse people who are non-religious to say you are Satanist. You are accusing a person who clearly told you that I am non-religious. Then you are forcing the person to say you are religious. And also, Satan is their narrative. I normally joke with them, especially Christians, when I ask them a question: who created Satan? Then they say God. Then I say, who was created first? You and Satan. Then they say Satan. Then I say, surely Satan is your elder brother who happened to just fell out to with your father. Because if you were created from the same source, so is your brother. Of course, I would be trying to use their own logic. Sometimes people, they can understand if you use what they understand better. For example, if you talk to Christians, then you quote a Quran, they will ignore you. But if you talk to the Christians, you quote their own Bible, you tell them things as they are, you try to knock some sense into their mind. Am I audible?
Yes, you're breaking a bit, but you are audible enough. I want to thank you so much for the last 30 minutes I've made. You have told us that you just qualified as a teacher. Yes, you told me yesterday that you are going to have your graduation. Had a congratulation from us for the milestone achieved. Being a teacher is a noble thing, and I want to congratulate you upon that big achievement. Now I gather that you're a teacher, you're a political activist, as well as a human rights activist. That's kudos. That is awesome. I want to invite you to explain to the audience the NGO you started called SODA and what it does. But of course, first, why did you have this organization? What does it for? What are you doing within the organization? And what's the way forward for the organization?
All right. SODA, it stands for Social Democrats Association. And many people, they accuse me saying your organization is like a political part. Then normally I tell them, yes, this organization operates non-partisanly, but is very political, because we are fighting for the political space of young people, because we are a budding youth civic movement which advocates and lobbies for the inclusion of young people into decision-making boards. For example, now in Zimbabwe, we have people crying, saying youths are abusing drugs, are doing so and so. And those people who are talking about those things, they're planning things without us, the youth. Recently, our government here in Zimbabwe, they drafted a document with the called National Development Strategy 1, which is going to work from 2021 up to 2025. In the section 735 of that particular document, they defined and explained the youth as people who are lazy, who doesn't know the value of hard work. Then, unfortunately, because they don't understand the youth of nowadays, if you were present when they were deciding, we're going to tell them, listen, our elders, nowadays we don't work hard, but we work smart, like what we are doing now. We are talking online. That's working smart. But those guys with the mentality of the past, those with the dinosaur mentality, they think that you just have to put a physical force on everything. Nowadays, it's the time where we use brain than anything else. I've been telling some people that the illiterate people of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write, but are those who cannot unlearn the false things they have been taught to believe. If you cannot unlearn the false things you have been taught to believe, you are as good as illiterate. And the meaning of the word reading has changed. It should not be an ability just to know how to read a textbook. You should know how to read the situation. You should know how to read the false beliefs. You should know how to, and when we say to write, you should rewrite history. You should create knowledge. Don't just write what someone has wrote or read. So, as an organization, we've been trying to push, as I mentioned earlier, we petitioned the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission That is, we petitioned the SODA. So we are trying, but unfortunately, in the third world country, we are operating from a zero budget, and we rely on volunteers. And sometimes, myself being someone who mooted the idea, you might find sometimes you explain your idea to some people, they don't get it. And it's very, and as now on Tuesday, the 18th of April, which happens to be the independence here in Zimbabwe, we are planning.
What independence?
We are planning to send a message about gold mafia. It has been ablaze throughout the media that Zimbabwean gold has been stolen, being sold at lower prices in Dubai. And to my surprise, I don't know if I call it a surprise is promoting it. To my disappointment, people are stealing the Zimbabwean gold with the blessing of the head of state. When a head of state is voted, we expect that he or she should protect the interests and resources of the country. Now, when the head of state is blessing plunderers, is laundering, we are on our own. We are not safe. So we want to send a message on Independence Day. We are working with other organizations who are like-minded. So we are going to, and I think you'll be updated. You see it nowadays. The information spreads like fire. So we are in a process of organizing. So we say to those Zimbabweans who are listening, when you hear us calling you to join us to send a message, please come and join us. We want to send a message that we don't want our gold to be sold with the leaders who, by any chance, when they get the opportunity, they demonize the Westerners, they demonize the whites, but behind the doors, they're plundering the resources of the country. They're doing a lot with the same whites whom they tell us that they're bad in the daylight, but in the evening, they're doing deals with them. Imagine that pastor who is involved. The name is Hubert Angel. He tells those guys who were undercover that I am number 2 in Zimbabwe, which means even the constitution is being broken. The vice president, retired General Chiwenga, is being said to be a dandaid by a mere citizen. Imagine. Yes, the audacity to say he's a dandaid. A lot has been, it's so painful. So as SODA, we are also anchored on Sustainable Developmental Goal 16, which stipulates that peace, justice, and strong institutions. When we say peace, we don't just mean that the absence of war. There is what we call negative peace. What we have in Zimbabwe is negative peace, which is inspired by fear, which is very preventive. And it can best end time. We need positive peace. Then justice. I can't talk much about the justice, and I was like to take a photo yesterday with one of the High Court judges at the graduation, because we were graduating together. We were actually sitting next to each other. One of the judges, if you once heard of Justice Yepias, who once ruled that the current Chief Justice of this country, he has overstayed the term he was supposed to stay. So I was happy to meet such an open-minded justice, and he's a good person. And we have a short chat because he was graduating with masters in theology. Because yes, he's a bishop in one of the local churches.
Wow.
As I said, I respect people regardless of their religion, as long as they're not doing something harmful to others.
Exactly, so, I agree with you.
Of course, yeah. So that is what SODA we are doing. Then strong institutions will be meaning institutions which are controlled by the constitution, which are controlled, which actually are in a position of saying, if we can put a 5-year-old as a president, a country has to run, because an individual is not the one who runs the country. but the systems put in place. So we want to run away from the issue of having strong individuals who are feared and having strong institutions. So unfortunately, it seems it becomes dark. I know we don't have electricity as we speak.
It's
here
fine.
in Zimbabwe,
we all have the same problems.
Yeah, here in Zimbabwe, electricity is switch. Normally, they will switch it off at 84. They switch it at 4 in the AM in the morning, then put on around 10 in the evening. So we only have electricity 6 hours a day here in Zimbabwe. So we are in a very, very difficult situation when our resources, millions of resources are being plundered in a single week. And I think when the month ends, we lose something like $1 billion or so. Then there is another thing. Let me just rush through. I know you would like to ask me also about the Excellence Project, another organization which we started together with the Dr. Leo Igwe. The Excellence Project, we started it after the experience we had. Like we were in seminary before, we've been training to be priests before. So we realized that people normally face stigmatization, ostracization, mainly because they once went to train to be priests and later on decided to leave. It will be taken as a case. So this is a sort of a platform which we created so that it can offer psychosocial support to the people who were once religious officials but who are now non-religious and humanists. Because if you are not clever enough, you fail to find someone to share your story with who understands you, you become an outcast. You become a cursed person. You know, when religious people, they declare you a cursed person, it is a strong message. So that is what we do at the Excellence Project. And also there is AFAO. I'm doing it again with the Dr. Leo Igwe. AFAO means Advocates for Alleged Witches. As humanists, as people who champion science, we strongly believe that witchcraft accusations are false and people should not be assaulted on account of witchcraft accusation. So we try to defend the people from not being persecuted. And even if you check in the Zimbabwean law, the problem we have people who are legally illiterate. It's section 99 of the criminal law of Zimbabwe stipulates that telling someone to be a witch or pointing a witch is a criminal act. And also section 101 of the same act bars anyone to justify assault or anything else on account saying, I believe that this person is a witch. But this is only on paper. But people really believe that witchcraft exists on the ground. So this what I have been trying to do here and there. So that is the work I'm doing as a humanist. That is the work I'm doing as a human rights advocate, as a youth advocate. I'm very passionate about the youth because I think that the right people to push the new narrative. They have the courage to challenge the old way of doing things. So if we don't promote them, I know one day I will be old too. I'll be expecting those who will be young to be taking care of me because it will be time for retire. It's a pity that in Africa, people, they think that retirement is for those who have gone to the graves. They don't know that you can retire and be happy while we are still alive. So I don't know how are we going to change that narrative. So I think the introduction of philosophy, as I said earlier in schools, will open people's minds. I know that the British people, they didn't introduce the learning of philosophy in their colonies, but back in their country, it was being taught. Why? They didn't want people to wake up as early as possible, because they thought that colonization would go on and on forever. So that is what I can say at the moment. I have been rushing through. I have been not giving you time to interject, because I think you are just seeing how the place I am becomes dark. Boss, it's 5 past 6 now, and we are waiting to get electricity probably around the 10 or 11, you know. So
Yes,
we are in a real dilemma.
Shame. No, we understand.
Yes, we understand that, and of course, we do believe that our viewers will be able to understand the dilemma we face in Africa. There are many days my friend Linda there has been suffering.
I haven't been able to be on the show, yeah, because of electricity.
My colleagues in Uganda are having the same problem. You can imagine how we suffer in Africa when we have all these resources. We have the source of electricity, we have the water, we have the dams, but our resources are taken. Uganda, for example, we have the source of the Nile. We should be having power, constant power, but our power is being sold to neighboring countries, and do without power, without electricity, you know. So Tauya, we share in your plan. We do tell our viewers to bear with us. Of course, we are seeing you, though not in the best way, but we can be able to hear what you are saying. Linda, you have heard what the political situation in Zimbabwe. You, as a Zimbabwean, what else can you add on what Tauya has shared with us, basing on the experiences we have in Zimbabwe?
I think what he says is that it's so true, is that it's the next generation, it's the children that we really need to work on now, because I always say that we aren't going to see all these changes that we want in our lifetimes, but we are the people that are making the changes. We are the first godless generation of Africans that have united together. There have never been so many people on our continent all saying, I don't believe in organized religion anymore. There's something more than this. I'm leaving it. And we are all connecting through social media.
I can't hear you.
Can't you hear me? Okay, let me try now.
Myself, I'm getting it, but I have a point also to make, which I think is also important.
Yes.
If you check, I wrote about humanism in Zimbabwe in the publication of Free Thinker magazine, which was published on the 15th of February.
Okay.
And I encouraged a number of humanists to be active politically. Because if we are not active politically, surely the laws will be made won't be favorable to us. But the good part, if we have leaders who are humanists, we are bound to have a better society, because humanists can know how to respect a religious person and they can defend their rights. But the problem with religious fanatics, they can even kill us. Of course, as humanists, we can't kill them for their beliefs. We just respect them, but we cannot allow them to use public resources to promote a particular religion. But if they can find resources other way, and if they want place to practice there, let them do so. But we don't want a situation where people, it's like I hear here in Zimbabwe, people who say Zimbabwe is a Christian nation. Then I ask, where is it written? Then you say majority are. Say no, yes, majority are, but it doesn't mean that it is a Christian nation. It's a secular republic with people from different religions. And it is very common here in Zimbabwe for people to say a Christian prayer at a public event. They don't care what the Jews think. They don't care what the Jews think. They don't care what the Muslims think. They don't care what the non-religious think. Normally, when I'm given an opportunity, in a situation, in a country like Zimbabwe, sometimes you are picked to pray. Imagine, they know that you're a humanist, but they say, pray. You know what I normally do? I go in front, then I say, in the interest of religious tolerance, we might have people who are Jews, Muslim, and so. We are going to maintain a moment of silence for 3 minutes so that Christians will say their prayers in their hearts, Muslims word of peace in their hearts, Jews the same, non-religious patients the same. Then after 3 minutes, then I say, thank you, then I went and sit down. So that everyone feels accommodated. I think we need such an act probably Tolerance Act, which covers a number of
Act.
areas. Tolerance Act, and maybe a number of sections should be on how to tolerate each other religiously, not to evade other people spaces. And you won't be surprised that probably if you hear that, maybe let us say 2 weeks from now, you hear that Tauya is no more. You hear some people who say Tauya confessed on his deathbed that don't follow whatever I was saying. He repented. No, people will be lying. They take that advantage of saying you're no longer there. They say he repented. And I normally tell people that in the future, when I try to live the scientific way of doing things, then I start to tell you religious things. Please keep on relying on what I told you about science before, because it will be probably mean that I've lost my mind. Don't take that. It will probably mean I've lost my mind.
You are on heavy painkillers or some medication that's making you go crazy.
Yeah, of course. Sometimes you might be put into a pressure where you can say things which you don't like.
Absolutely.
And interestingly,
that's quite
in
interesting.
Zimbabwe, what you call,
that's rather interesting. That's rather interesting observation you have made there. And I've said before that if I reach that point when I begin preaching about God and Jesus Christ, just know I've gone out of my mind. I'm becoming mad. I'm no longer reasonable. Just know something has distorted my way of thinking. And I appreciate the way you put it, that if you come out and say things we have been talking against, you have been preaching against, as a humanist, as a person being so rational, so something must be wrong somewhere. So people don't need to take the advantage of your mental status, because all of us break down at one point. I can run mad at one point, and I begin seeing miracles. I begin seeing stars, but it means something is wrong with my brain. It doesn't negate what I used to say when I was sober. I like that statement. Very beautiful statement there. Now, nice. Tauya, I know you are doing the work of an advocate for the rights of alleged witches with Dr. Leo and others. How is it done in your country? How big is the challenge of witch victimization in Zimbabwe? May you please take us through that?
The challenge is very, very big, and it's not a surprise, to my disappointment, most of the time people who are targeted on these allegations are women, old women, sometimes widows, young children. Those people are being, and probably those people living, people with disabilities. Sometimes people, they say, why were you born like this? It is because of witchcraft. And I wonder why people can think like that. These things can be explained scientifically. Someone is being born with albinism, it can be explained scientifically. So what is the reason of accusing each other? And sometimes people end up hating each other. Witchcraft allegations are serious, because sometimes some people, they do it just to blackmail a person. Say, this person is a witch. So it is a serious issue. Earlier this year, I had an issue which I was working on in one of the suburbs here in Harare, Zimbabwe. A certain father was killed by his 2 sons after being accused of being a witch. Imagine. So it was so. When I reached the police station before going to their house, I asked the police. The police were actually somehow, it seems sometimes they coach people to tell you that don't talk about witchcraft, because in the court you won't win it. Because in the court, as I said, I quoted that criminal codification. So if you accuse someone of being a witch, that's you are actually offside illegally. So police officers have that system, because they believe it, but they say in the court they don't believe it, so don't say it. So you see how the justice system goes the other way. The beliefs of the people goes the other way. The poles apart. So I think the justice system has to cascade down to the people to understand why do we say witchcraft allegation is false. It's false because it's malicious. It can lead to harm. It cannot be provable. So if you can't prove it, why are you alleging it? If you make an allegation, prove it. So, and people are not prepared. They can't prove it. I'm also participating in a documentary by Sly Media TV on witchcraft. They featured a number of religious people and a number of people who believe in witchcraft, and I featured also to put the humanist side. And I'm also, I think in a week or so, I'm going back again to have a conversation with someone who believes in witchcraft and myself. So I'm trying to educate people through those ways, and I tried to do a sort of like a call for volunteers to join this movement. I couldn't find people, so you find myself doing it on my own, which is somehow risky, but sometimes, for example, personally, I'm not mobile, so I use public transport sometimes. So, when you're using public transport and you do the work I'm doing, sometimes it's not safe. So sometimes they are limited because you are not mobile. People can actually end up saying, this guy is representing witches, so is defending them, so we should kill him. So sometimes, so sometimes you try to not to be known by a lot of people, because when you're known by a lot of people who have a belief in witchcraft, they might assault you, they might attack you. But if it is being cyberbullied, personally, I have a thick skin. I don't care about being cyberbullied, of being challenged online, because I believe in engagement. I can, when it comes to debating, I'm also a debating coach at the Catholic University. So when it comes to debating issues, even if you insult me, I remain calm and I try to make you understand my point, because sometimes I don't have to blame you, but I have to blame the environment you grew up. I have to blame the people around you, because as a person, I prefer understanding than judgment. But some people are victims of their upbringing.
Exactly.
Some people are victims of, probably because of religious views. The problem, we are all born non-religious, but we are forced into a religion. You are baptized without fully understanding the doctrine of a religion. And I forgot to mention something. In 2020, I also wrote a book which is called Raising Democratic Free Thinkers in Africa, a parenting guide. Where in the chapter 2 of that book, I wrote about how to introduce religion to children. I suggested that children should not be taken to any of the religion without teaching them. So I suggest that parents should teach children about every religion. If they want to choose one, let them do so. So I suggest that parents should have libraries at home, buy literature direct from those religions, and also make some field visits, or even engage imams, rabbis, priests for the children to ask questions.
Yes.
So that when they are choosing a religion, they choose from an informed point of view. And I 100%. Encourage the parents, even in the next chapter where I was talking also about the economics and politics, that even the way they run at home should be somehow democratic. Parents should not use authority to silence children. They should use reason. If a child is crying for a bike, don't just say, shut up. Explain, listen, my son, you see, in a month, I'm getting $300. If we buy you a bike, we won't have something to eat in here. Just simple. You make it clear.
Exactly.
Use reason. Don't use force. When we use force, we are preparing our children to be fine with the dictators. We have problems with dictators. We think, both when we are growing up, we think a person who is on authority is the right to abuse and is 100%. The right to,
Yes.
So if you start to be politically active, if you start to be an active citizen at family level, when you become an adult, you even be in a position to hold the leaders accountable. So you see,
Exactly.
I've got a lot of ideas, probably with few or limited media to express all those things. So I was thinking maybe I should have maybe a Facebook page or a YouTube page where I have to engage a professional photographer, record something, put it online, and people can access it. But these are my future plans. I want to form what I can call probably Tauya Chinama Foundation of Critical Inquiry, so that it can partner probably with some universities and they have a page, so that I can leave a legacy for this country. Because the problem we have, our elders, they die without leaving anything. Look how our brothers in Europe, they do. You find a person, he leaves a foundation to teach the ideas. Here in Africa, it's rare. we don't have the Kato Mukasa Foundation, which probably can live even after 500 years when Kato Mukasa is no longer there. You see? People are dying with their ideas, brilliant ideas. And you know what happens here in Zimbabwe or here in Africa? People, they will go to a Mandela Fellowship in Washington, in the United States. They will learn about the United States and they come back. What happened? What they are championing is something which probably doesn't fit to our African context. So we need role models who start trusts and foundations to teach, so that people will know that there was probably, let us say maybe it's in 2090, probably I'm no longer there was Tauya Chinama. Tauya Chinama taught this, and left this foundation. And this foundation is taking people for scholarship to learn critical thinking, to learn so and so. And it's nice, Yeah, I'm happy that I have the opportunity to dream, though we are not allowed to dream as young people in Africa. But we have to force ourselves to dream, because we are not allowed to dream. For example, if I were to tell you today that one of the days I wish to be a head of state here in Zimbabwe, people, they will laugh, say, you see, he's hallucinating. But allow the young people to dream. Yes, let us be allowed to dream.
I'll come back and vote for you and run your campaign if you are president of our country. I will come back to Zimbabwe.
Yeah, just imagine maybe if you can have probably at least even 10 African countries being ruled by probably non-religious people. This will change the face of Africa.
Of course it will do. And it's like you say about leaving legacies, and like with Kato and I, we write a lot. You know that whatever happens to you, your words will always remain. I feel because we don't have a belief in the eternal life, that is our immortality. It is our things we do now. We are making it a little bit easier for the people that follow behind us. So we are like in that overgrown bush area with the pangas cutting the pathway. So the people that come after us will have it a little bit easier to walk, and the people behind them. And the things that we do, people often think legacies, it's leaving huge monuments and lots of money and things, but it's actually not. It's even just a legacy that you can leave to your own family through what you write and things that you leave them. But words never die. I was talking to someone the other day about Bob Marley's music and how many people listened to him when he was alive, and how his music has been heard by just about every single person on the planet now, and how long he's been dead for. And that was just an example they used of the power of someone. Everybody knows who he is today, and everyone knows his music. But at the time, the world was a lot smaller, and we didn't have things moving so quickly like with internet and that, which just shows you they used him as an example of that. You never actually die. That is our eternal life, isn't it? It's the things I still remember, all the things my parents taught me, my grandparents taught me, and that's the whole thing about our ancestors. Now science has discovered that we each carry 14 copies of the DNA from 14 generations. We carry that DNA in us, each of us, and it's why we like things and do things in certain ways. It's what's programmed into our DNA. Now that fascinates me. Because this whole, the African belief of ancestors, our ancestors live within us. They've proven now that 14 copies of DNA influence you. You can't remember what your great-great-great-grandparent 14 generations back might have looked exactly like you, might like to eat the same food as you, might like to speak in a certain way. You don't know. We are our ancestors, and we are the one DNA copy that our children will be, and 14 generations down. And if you look at that now that science is actually proving that, yes, you have the genetic data of the last 14, I don't know if it's 7 generations or one on each side, within you, and all those DNA, those 14, have the DNA of their 14 from your mother's side. So do we ever really die? Because it's now science is proving how you're recycling through, it's scientific proof. So it's just fascinating. Like you said earlier, there are so many things we don't know today that will become known in 50, 60 years' time. Just like, look how much we know today, where we weren't even born in an era of internet or mobile phones. And look how technology seems to be galloping along at a high speed now. We're developing very quickly in like 10-year periods. So that's the thing, is that we are still evolving as humans. We're not going to look like this in 200, 300, 400, 1,000 years' time. We are constantly evolving. And I just think that's what's so exciting. Like you said, the things, even the things they can do now, like IVF and heart transplants and organ donating and, replacing missing limbs. There's so much that medical science can do that couldn't be done. Even things like simple blood transfusions, however long ago. So who knows what we're going to discover? I like to think that maybe in 1,000 years' time, people will read back about us now and say, they were so primitive, those people, shame. They had to get their electricity by switching on a light, and they had these things called computers, and now it's all just, because I really think that every generation from the 18, 16, 1500s, you are always the most modern, up to date. But, in 100 or 200 years' time, a lot of this stuff will have figured out. And I just think it's a wonderful time to be in Africa as an African. And I'm just only sad that we can't live for 1,000 years, because I've always said the changes that I know will come to our continent, none of us are going to be alive to witness the day that Africa is completely united and back into the hands of the African people, and it's just a beautiful, peaceful place. I know it will happen, but not in our lifetime. So that doesn't mean we don't work towards it, because every single little thing we do, even though we often feel isolated and insignificant, and we have problems with funding and that, and we often feel that we're just working in our own little corner of the world, just with a few people. But if you add up all the people like us that are even helping maybe 10 people at a time, that adds up to huge amounts. And we're not doing it selfishly like our governments do. They do instant results to steal money and stuff. We are doing it for no monetary gain or anything for ourselves. We are just doing it because we want to play our part in making our continent a bit better, and for people to suffer a little bit less. And that has like a snowball effect over the generations, and that one day everybody does their little bit. We're a part of that, and we're very much at the beginning of that. We are the foundation generation, is what I've said, because so many of us are openly godless now, and with the internet, we're all connecting. Like, look, we're in 4 different countries tonight, talking to each other across the continents and that. And that is the amazing thing with us all connecting like this. We are a significant generation of people. We are building the foundations for the future, because we're the first with no God. And your foundations have to be super strong. You've got to have really good foundations. If you build a house, because it doesn't matter how beautiful the house is, eventually it's going to collapse. I feel we have a very special job to do, because we have to set the precedents. We have to weed out all these people that are pretending they're humanists, and they're getting money. Like you said, there were people in the churches who are religious who pretend that they are humanists to get money in that. And with how we define humanism and that as African people, not on a Western philosophy or whatever, we as African people don't need to be told how to do everything. by the West all the time and follow their rules. We must come up with our own identity for Africa. And we need to set those foundations and write the books and start the foundations and get the things into schools so that we know that we've left at least the best foundation we possibly could for the next generation to build on. I really believe, I don't know, more so in the last year, Kato, with sudden changes I've seen and so many people coming out and people that would never talk to each other before that are now, you know, realizing they've got a lot more in common than they thought. People reaching out, and not just here, but there are really, really lovely people in the overseas that are also connecting with us. You know, like Todd in America and Paul in the UK. And these are really, really good humanist people, no matter what their countries have done or are still doing to us. We've got to realize that there are also people there that are just kind-hearted like us. And it's not our governments and our United Nations and all our things that are going to solve our issues in Africa. I firmly believe it's the yous and the me's, it's the everyday people, because we are the ones that are on the ground and really see what's happening. We don't want to do things for monetary gain or for political power or because we want to, you know, for ego or anything. We really are doing it for people. So we are the everyday people. The everyday African people have to unite with the everyday American people and the everyday British people. And I also believe that things like getting our artifacts back and that we're not getting it right through the governments and all the people. It's us, you know. There are people, when I speak to people in the UK, really from my heart about how upsetting it is for us to not have our artifacts here for the African people and the you know, people like, they get tearful about it. They really see it for the first time. Like, that's terrible. And there are people like that can have more, achieve more than the people high up. We see it ourselves in our everyday lives with the work that we do. We can often achieve a lot more than the big organizations because we just go in there and do it, and we don't, you know, do it for this or that or whatever. And I just think, honestly, that's what I believe as an African, that we will one day get it right. I mean, Kato, you know how many humanists in the UK and that even are helping with individual cases that's you know, in Africa at the moment, that really have made a massive difference in the lives of those people that they are supporting financially.
Yes,
or that
Lynda,
are present or whatever.
I see you're getting some interruptions as we speak. I don't know whether you... Lynda, are you able to hear me now?
It's fine on the side. I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, you had gone off a little. Thank you for sharing those thoughts. You were very elaborate, very on point.
I'll always elaborate, you know me. I can say one sentence in 20.
You were spot on.
You've gone off now, Kato. I don't know if you can, I don't know. Let me just check with. I missed that completely.
That we are building. Yes, I was happy to see and hear what Tauya has been saying about writing a book, which I wanted to him that we are going to post him again, so that now we can have that review the book. Because as
I can't hear you. Let me just check with production. If it's just me that can't hear you.
I'm repeating that. I'm saying that I'm happy to hear is an author. He's been on humanism and all that. And I was suggesting that we are going to post and of his writing. Do you hear me, Lynda?
I just heard you saying about the book on parenting, and I think that's wonderful. We've got so many writers and so many people have recently published books. It's actually, I think it's good for us to start featuring books, and you've got so many wonderful books yourself that you've written, Kato, that I don't know, maybe we can have a book festival month or something where we can promote everyone's books and get people to come on and introduce their books to us. I know wonderful Mukuchi in Malawi as well. He's also writing so many lovely books about humanism and things. And definitely, we need to start writing these things that can eventually form the basis for a new education system for Africa. Your audio is skipping. Also, production are hearing you skipping.
Tauya, can you hear me?
Yeah. I hear. My network is tripping now. I was out. I managed to come back.
Tauya, we have 10 minutes. I've already explained to the viewers that you are having power challenges. There is no electricity in Zimbabwe. That's why you will bear with us. The challenges we have in Africa includes power cutoff when we are the first system. Now, Tauya, we have only 10 minutes left on our show. I would like your submission
You are
today. And
breaking.
You're breaking,
You are
Kato. We
breaking on
can't
my
hear
side.
you. Yeah, on my side too.
I'm breaking because of the network. I think I'm having challenges with my audio line right now. But if you invite you again, so that you can be able to explain more about the work you wrote, the book you wrote. Can you hear me, Tauya?
Yes. You said you have to invite me to say a lot about the book I wrote.
Yes, have you
Yes,
back
that's
just to introduce your book to us, and we can just promote it a bit for you, and you can just explain to us, because I think that that's something that a lot of people would be interested in. People that are not sure how to go about raising children with open minds, that are accept all religions, but don't follow just one religion. So that would be great. We can have you back sometime. I know.
Of course, I will share the book
yes,
with you. I have all your WhatsApp numbers. We talk so often, and it's not a big problem. So, yeah, it's doable.
That's great.
as we conclude, I want you to use 3 minutes, right? And because I want to tell about all the viewers, if you have a website, if we have any pages that can find you and your works, I want you to take the chance to market your works and tell us about the links for the organization, how they can follow up with you, especially with the work you do. And of course, give us a conclusion in the next 3 minutes as we wind up the show. You tell
We are together, but unfortunately, I don't know it's my network or it's yours, boss. You are breaking. So when you
Yes,
are breaking, the echoes makes it difficult to get probably what you will be saying.
sure. I can. It's the same for me. I can't hear Kato. I can also hear that echo. But I think he was just saying that we're ending off now, and he just asked any of your website addresses or anything, that what we can do when we post this live show onto our channels is we can just include your contact details there, so that people know how to find you or to contact you with any questions or things. I will contact you after the show on WhatsApp as well. I want to talk to you about how I can help you maybe on the 18th with getting the word out, and anything else that I can maybe put some of my work behind to help you as a fellow Zimbabwean, that I can actually, if there's anything I can assist you with some of the things. I've got such little time, but I really want to try and help in some way with something. So I'll chat to you about that on WhatsApp.
All right, no problem. Then I think if I heard you correctly, you want sort of like a social media handles for Soda Movement, Soda on Twitter. You check. We normally post our activities on Twitter and also on Facebook. But the fun part about people here, majority of people whom we are advocating for here in Zimbabwe, actually, they are not on Twitter. But people who have the privilege to be on Twitter, there are those who are in urban areas. And of those who are in urban areas, some they can't afford to buy data.
Yeah,
It is extremely expensive. So we are in a digital era, but we have people who are living in the past. Our work can be very easy in the digital era, but I think we have to do what we call capacity building. If our leaders were serious, I think we should have the community information centers where people they can go for library, for internet, and for news. But anyway, I know if they do so, it means the end of their dictatorship, because people they will have access to information. Propaganda won't work anymore. So obviously they won't do it.
That's the whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah, you impoverish people so that you can give them probably a 2 kg of meal so that they see you as a messiah, not knowing that not knowing that the politician is the one which actually stifling their ability to make tons of meal. So they in Africa leaders they impoverish people so that they can give them the very little, so that they can be praising, these are our saviors, but they are not our saviors at all. And there are very few people who are aware of that fact. So we have a lot. It is an uphill task that we try.
The hope they give you, and I saw this when South Africa had its fake democracy in 1994. The hope they give the people, you don't have your land, you're living in poverty, you don't have running water, but you are going to be rewarded one day in heaven. You are going to have everything, you're going to have paradise. Same thing like apartheid criminals that have done horrific things against black people were just allowed to walk free in South Africa, live on these stolen farms, carry on. Why? Because you are a Christian, you are a good person, and the Bible says you are the better person, you forgive and you move on. They will have the day of judgment. When F.W. de Klerk finally died, a whole lot of people were rejoicing here. Now, finally, he's got his day of judgment. And this is the very dangerous thing with religion as well, because it's not only, like you said, it's oppressing our people, it's filling their heads with nonsense. So they aren't thinking to themselves, I've got to vote this bad president out and get good people in, because I don't want my children, my grandchildren one day being in a country and a continent that's ruined. No, they're going to heaven, they're going to have paradise, and the children will die. So it's okay, you can forgive that person. And this is making us very complacent and stupid, because how it used to work is that we didn't have a lot of criminals in Zimbabwe, anywhere in Africa. We didn't even have prisons. Our prisons were built by the colonizers. We didn't need prisons. We had effective systems of dealing with people that were out of line. And now all our innocent people are in prison, and all our criminals are running our countries and free amongst us, and our military and our police and everything. And it's so wrong, and we need to start learning to stand up for ourselves. And this is what you said with questioning. We've got to teach children, and I was taught this with my father, thank goodness. Just because someone is an authority doesn't mean that you automatically get your respect or that you believe everything they say. Don't be rude, don't be disrespectful. But ask questions if you're not sure, if you don't actually believe what your pastor's saying. Ask questions if you don't believe what your president is saying or your headmaster. Questioning, that's what we need to teach our children, because they will think for themselves, and they will know one day when you present them with stories, it will be the same like one of you coming up to me now and saying you believe in the fairy, you're going to make 3 wishes to the fairy tonight and you're going to have those gifts in your room tomorrow or whatever. I would laugh at you or ask you, have you been drinking a lot of alcohol? Are you crazy? Are you taking medicine? And laugh. You would be like, now it's us who are laughed at for our lack of beliefs and people who are believing in all this nonsense and that. So I would love to see how things change. I've raised my 2 children with all religions. They've naturally become godless. You know, I said, I'm not going to enforce one religion on you. They automatically, especially my son, who's, I guess, being a boy, more science-minded, by the age of even like 12, 15, we're laughing at like, Mom, how can people actually believe this stuff? But you see, I did, and a lot of people do. When you bring kids up with logic and reason, that's what we need. We need it to reverse. It's not us being pushed out of societies and laughed at. It's everybody that believes in this antiquated thing. But there are still going to be people, especially our older people, that will never stop it. So you have to respect that. But it's like your football team. So I support Liverpool, I don't support Man U. I can have Liverpool stuff in my house and cheer for them, but don't make me suddenly cheer for Man U and change my decor or whatever do that in your house. If I come and visit you, then I know I'm going to be exposed to Manchester United. You come to me, you respect. I use that thing of football teams that a lot of people can relate to here. It's fine. You shout and carry on in your house for your team. I'm doing it in my house or not at all. You don't get it involved in schools and government and everything. And that's what we have to do, I think. So that's just my conclusion to everything. So it's been lovely having you here because you're my neighbor. Although we are foreigners, we call each other foreigners, but we're neighbors. And it's just so nice talking to like-minded people because we and all the younger generations have the answers and solutions. We know how to make our continent work for us. So many of the things that you've mentioned tonight and that you're doing in Zimbabwe are the way forward. Absolutely. Kato's done so much work in the humanist schools and the humanist schooling in Africa and Uganda as well. And I just think that it's so frustrating for us because we know we can do it better than our governments. We can do it in a fair way, but no one has ever given the chance to do it. That's the problem. So speaking to like-minded people, it gives you a lot of hope, and you've got a lovely energy about you as well. It's positive to be around, and you know how you sometimes feel like you're flagging a bit in things that you're doing, and then speaking to someone like you, it's like you get enthusiastic again about what can I do? What can I do? That's just how I feel, and I just think it's great that we can connect like this.
Yeah. And concluding our show today, I want to thank all the viewers for being with us. We had challenges with power or electricity in Zimbabwe, so our Tauya Chinama was on and off, and at one point was in darkness. Of course, we have had challenges of interruptions in our network, but we do think that we had a good show tonight, and we do believe that you will find it very enjoyable, and we think that our to continue enjoying our thoughts, and of course, whatever we continue, and of course, learning from them. Thank you so much, Lynda. Those were thoughts. Thank you so much, Chama. I do believe is all.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you all, and thank you all for watching, and thank you to our production crew. And to all our viewers.
Yeah,
we've got our top 10 countries. Madagascar, #1. Ethiopia, #2. Nigeria. Zimbabwe, Zambia, Malawi. I mean, those are just the top 10 or 12 countries we've been watched. 70% male audience and fewer females. It's always like that with these kind of political shows or religious. You often find it's mostly the men. And it's just wonderful to know that there's so many people and all the different age groups that are watching us. It's really, really, and we're watched by a very young, I think 25, up to 25 also is our biggest group, or second biggest. And it's really good to know that we are reaching so many people and all over Africa. And so come and, yeah, just our Facebook page, which Kato and I have been so busy, we haven't had time to. I feel terrible. Dennis, one of our production managers, has been doing the page. If you haven't had a look, please go and have a look at our page. I'm so amazed. It's just, I don't know, it's because I'm biased, because it's all topics I love reading about. It's so interesting. It's current. He did some fantastic reports on things that were going on during the Nigerian elections recently, the whole rigged, fake, funny, you know, the act that we all put on that we had democratic elections, but just everything. And there's so many things going on around Africa that you don't know about. I don't know, you know, you don't hear about. And it's really, really good. I think he's just doing a phenomenal job. And I really encourage all of you to go onto the page and look back at old videos, not just of our shows, but of articles that have been written. And Kato's written a lot. I've probably written about 3 or 4, but at the very beginning. But I think we've been going for almost a year now, Kato. We'll have to have our anniversary. Dennis, you can bring the cake. Dennis is in charge of our snacks backstage. So really, I think it's been great, because we just thank everybody for watching us. Not live, but we have a lot of views after the shows, and that's fantastic. That's not prank.
Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Brian. Of course, our guest, Tauya Chinama. Thank you for being here. Next Saturday, remain hopeful, keep hope alive. See you then. Bye-bye.
Yeah, we've got a lot of show and interesting people lined up. Thanks, Kato.
Bye-bye.